I've been asked to chair a complicated session. We started with phenomenal population growth in Pakistan, about water, both too much and too little of it, with which Pakistan is afflicted, about climate change with which the entire world is afflicted, about the Financial Action Task Force, which in 2001 was further tasked to combat terrorism financing. And it is in this context that it is very important to determine financial stability in Pakistan as well, that is future financial stability, because the danger of the blacklist hovers. And last but certainly not the least was gender. How does one bring together all these diverse subjects? Let's start at the beginning. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. I start, and so does the Constitution of Pakistan, which then proceeds to recognize the sovereignty of Almighty Allah over the entire universe, and that the authority to be exercised by the people is through their elected representatives. We have been given the task to administer a sacred trust. But to clarify, I want to say that today I don't speak in a court of law, I don't speak as a judge, but do so as a citizen of Pakistan, and to be more precise, as a Muslim citizen of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And taking guidance from the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, I shall proceed to demonstrate that neglecting the teachings of the Holy Quran and the example of the Prophet has caused these immense problems. Therefore, to mitigate, firstly, and eventually, hopefully, to resolve, we need to discover the lost path, the Sharia, which literally means the path or the way. This does not in any manner mean that the other faiths and people do not have solutions. So I have collected the five topics. Two I'll address first, which is in a way related, water and climate change. And then I will address the three remaining topics, population growth, gender, and terrorism together, because there is some nexus within them. First and foremost, water and climate change. The Holy Quran comprises of about 6,000 verses, of which 750 are on environment. There are 28 chapters of the 114 chapters of the Holy Quran which name nature or natural phenomena. That is about 1/4 of the Holy Quran. The cow, the cattle, the bees, the ant, spider, elephant, star, moon, etc. Almighty Allah is Al-Khaliq, the Creator. He is Rabbul Alameen, God of the worlds, plural. He has 99 names or attributes. Amongst them is the artist, Al-Musawwir, the originator, Al-Mubdi, the giver of life, Al-Muhayyi. By the time Hazrat Adam and Bibi Hawa, Adam and Eve, were placed on earth, the temperature gauge was perfectly set, and so it stayed over thousands of years. But then we discovered how to burn fossil fuel and started to do so with abandon, resulting in global warming and its consequence, the dreaded climate change. We stand now on the precipice, or in the case of Pakistan, are sliding downwards, as demonstrated by the extraordinary quantity of rainfall that fell this summer, followed by flooding, which has left large parts of the country still flooded. And this is now being followed by the dreaded dengue, malaria, dysentery, gastroenteritis, and innumerable other waterborne diseases. How did this come to pass? The Quran describes human beings as the best of his creation, Ashraful Makhluk, the perfect creation, and the best and Ahsanul Taqweem. And what is our role on earth, and what does our Creator call us? He calls us Khalifa fil Ard. If you want a reference, it's Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 30. We are stewards of the earth. We have to take care of the earth. We have to take care of all living things. And what is the message in the Quran? Do not act wickedly and spread corruption in the earth. Surah Al-Araf, 7th Surah of the Holy Quran, verse 74. And is not burning excessive fossil fuel doing just that? And do not waste, because the Holy Quran says Allah does not love wasters. This is verse 31 of the same surah. What is happening today? We have been informed about in the Holy Quran as well. And I quote from a verse from the Holy Quran, Surah Ar-Rum, 30th verse 41. Corruption has become evident on the land and the sea, and the people have caused this by their own hands. And what is the solution to all this? I think it is in another verse of the Holy Quran, in Al-Furqan, the 25th chapter, verse 63. Walk gently or humbly on the earth. Yamshuna alal ardi hawnan. First and foremost, we must attend to the needs of the desperate poor, of the dying, of the starving, of the mother with her 6-7 children on a highway, who's pregnant. How can we do this? We must open our purses, give to the Prime Minister's flood relief or to any charitable organization any amount, 1 rupee. Can you imagine 220 multiplied by 1 rupee? That's the population of Pakistan. Or anything that you can do. Or if you don't have money, help in kind. Sorry. This is essential. It will show us our humanity. It will unite us. What if you was to ask me, we can talk about very fanciful things to do, but there are simple things to do as well. How can we reduce the effort of climate change? The poor do it, they walk. The poor do it, they use a bicycle. These two functions, natural functions, the West has rediscovered. And there'll be cities in the West where you won't find priority given to vehicles. It will be given first to the pedestrian, and then to the bicycle, and then to the public transport. Can I envisage a world, can I envisage Pakistan, where from this day onwards, the government, all the governments of Pakistan, the provincial as well as the federal, stop providing cars to judges, to bureaucrats, to army officers, and with the same amount of money, buy buses, fix pavements, make cycle paths. You save on your import bill, you save on contributing global warming gases into the atmosphere, and you become healthy as well. And this is the way of the Prophet too. He shared his ride. He did not occupy it with his companion, and he asked them to ride it in turn. And what more can we do? We can't solve climate change. We can certainly mitigate against it. Another factor, and a very easy factor in mitigation, would be to plant trees, an abundance of trees. Pakistan's forest cover is one of the lowest in the world. I've been reading the figure of 4% since the last 40 years. So in other words, that it has stood static. In reality, it is not so. But the fact is we don't have proper statistics. So we have denuded Pakistan of trees. We can simply plant a tree. It doesn't cost much. It doesn't cost anything really. Does our religion have something to say about this? Yes, it does. Doomsday arrived. The companion of the Prophet asked him, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if doomsday comes and I have a seed or a sapling in my hand, what should I do? The answer was, plant it. Akhirat or shajarkari, think about it. Another, either we have too much water or we have too little, as a distinguished speaker had earlier mentioned. What does our faith teach us about it? Do not waste water. The Prophet said. A companion responded, what if I'm using it for ablution, for performing prayer? The response came, and even if you're standing next to a flowing river, the devastation that has taken place is, because one of the reasons is because rivers have been narrowed down, the areas around them where there used to be natural spillage has been taken over, construction right at the mouth, at the edge of the river. This too, Islam prohibits reading prayers where there are water channels. This is a established hadith. So there are many ways to start mitigating. We don't have to be taught by the West. We don't have to be taught by the United Nations. We have to relearn what we have forgotten. I shall now come to the other three related topics of population. First and foremost, population growth. Horrific statistics have been presented. I'll present another. 50 years ago, we had a country comprising of two provinces, East and West Pakistan. Its combined population was 132 million. West Pakistan became Pakistan, East Pakistan became Bangladesh. In 1972, the population of West Pakistan was 60 million and East Pakistan was 72 million. Today, in 2022, the population of West Pakistan is 230 million and that of East Pakistan is 168 million. We jumped by 170 million, they increased by 96 million. We were 3.8 times is our increase and there has been 2.3 times. Why the difference? We shared the same faith. We are both predominantly Muslim countries. One reason could be because we banished family planning and they embraced it. And who is the better for it? There are other statistics which I don't need to go, but you can check up between the two countries and where they're heading. Family planning has become a taboo in Pakistan. And this happened on a false assumption, lack of knowledge about one's faith and for political reasons. The Holy Quran doesn't enlighten us about contraception. The theological view of classical ulama are jurists and scholars of Islam, was that what is not prohibited is permissible. peace and blessings be upon him, authorize coitus interruptus. The ulama were united in their view that there was no moral significance in destroying the male or female seed. But then the United Nations Population Conference took place in 1994 in Cairo, Egypt. And believe it or not, the Vatican delegates and some political ulama joined hands. Coitus interruptus was the sin of Onan, son of Judah, who married his deceased brother's wife Tamar. Onan, as per Genesis 38:8, was destroyed by God. So, for this sin, from there we get the word onanism. Classical Islam said the very opposite. They were all unanimous in their view on this. They went even further. The question of abortion has taken the United States by storm. The classical ulama had a lot to say about it. Almost all the mazahib, except probably the Maliki mazahib, the majority of the Maliki mazahib, there are exceptions there as well, accepted this till the 16th week. Why? And they base their views or analogy or discussion, ijtihad, on hadith, which said that till the ruh, the spirit, is blown into the fetus, or rather till ensoulment takes place, it is nothing. An example given by the classical jurists of Islam was it would be as if the crushing of a date stone, which is not equivalent to uprooting a date palm. Amongst the fundamental work that the superior courts, by which one means the High Court and the Supreme Court, does, is the enforcement of fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, the most significant of which is the right to life, Article 9, compulsory education for everyone, boys and girls, Article 25A. Both came under attack in Pakistan. Another horrific statistic that I want to share with you, determined by the Global Terrorism Database from 1970 to the year 2019, was that there were 1,000 attacks on educational institutions in the country. The Supreme Court, a judgment I authored, delivered a judgment on the Sangota public school case. This was the only girls' school in Swat attended by 1,000 girl students, which was bombed and closed for 5 years. This is Civil Appeal 71P of 2014. You can check it up on the Supreme Court website. We are then faced with, we are negotiating with terrorists. Who does it? And what is offered? What do they do? What do you say? Please bomb 5 schools and not 6. Please take some money. Please give you some weapons. What is on the negotiating table? Where do these negotiations take place? Who authorizes them? The only negotiation which a true Muslim can have with a terrorist in the garb of Islam would be to present him with the Quran and Sunnah. What, after all, is the first commandment of Almighty Allah to us? It is Iqra, read. And this is the command form of the word. Those of you who know Arabic, Iqra is a command form. It's like stop, when on the road sign says stop, that sort of thing. So it is the first word. What does this 96th surah, which is actually the first surah, goes on to say? It talks about the kalam and ilm. And if you want to move to the example of the greatest human being, what did he do when he took prisoners at the Battle of Badr? He asked them, because Muslim community was mostly illiterate, teach 10 of them to read and write, secure your freedom. Then we have another horrific thing happening in Pakistan, which is called, I don't know why it's called, honor killings, which is an abomination. There is a law in Pakistan which I categorize as a dead letter law because it is not implemented ever. And this is one of the few laws which derives directly from the Holy Quran, the text of the Holy Quran, and that is the offense of qazf. And I will now cite the Quranic verse. And those who launch a charge against chaste woman and produce not 4 witnesses, flog them with 80 stripes, and reject forever their evidence. For such men are wicked transgressors. This, to allege, impute a character of a woman, requires a far greater standard of proof than is required for murder or a financial transaction. Here you require 4 adult witnesses. So can you imagine, there is no comparable crime in the world. Qazf is not an offense in what we generally categorize as the developed world or the Western world. And this is done over 1400 years ago. Qazf, the concept, is completely alien in the West. It's not civil, it's criminal. How many prosecutions of qazf take place? I'm not aware of any. Then our faith, we are taught to respect women. It's not to be good mannered, it is to abide by your faith. Islam is probably, I'm not a scholar of religions, but what a limited I know is the only faith where a woman, the footsteps threaded by a woman are followed by every Muslim at least once in his lifetime, if he or she can afford to go to Hajj. And that is Sa'i. The footsteps, or where the distressed mother of Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, Bibi Hajar, walked and ran, and this we emulate her steps. She is not an isolatory example. There is the great lady Khadija bin Khuwailid, referred to as Ummul Mu'mineen, the mother of all Muslims, independent, a successful businesswoman, employed the Prophet and proposed to him. Can you imagine this happening today? And she was 15 years his senior. Think about it and reflect. She then, after her death, the Prophet married Hazrat Aisha bint Abu Bakr. Was she a lady who stayed at home? No. About 3,000 hadiths, she is the narrator of them. She taught in the mosque, she participated in battle. This is what our faith tells us about the great ladies. This doesn't stop there. Some scholars would come and quibble and say these are the wives of the Prophet in different states. No. Then Hazrat Umar, may the Almighty be pleased with him, appointed Shifa bint Abdullah as a market inspector in Medina. And I would probably end on the Islamic aspect by quoting Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi: ignorant men dominate women. Non-discrimination is embedded in Islam, and who is the greatest, who is most honored by the faith. And I quote the Quranic verse from Al-Hujurat 49 chapter verse 13. Quote, the most honored of you in the sight of Allah is the one who is the most righteous. Not man nor woman, no gender specificity there. And how did this country come into existence? It came into existence with Bi Amma, the mother of Maulana Shaukat Ali and Maulana Muhammad Ali, an equal companion on the select 21 member, or varied from 19 to 21 member of the Central Working Committee of the All India Muslim League. She was your freedom fighter for you. There was Jahan, not the only exception, Jahara Shahnawaz, who participated in the round table conference in London long before Pakistan. There were other distinguished ladies as well, Fatima, Shamshun Nisar, Mahmood, Shaista Ikramullah, members of the All India Muslim League Council. Then we had the Women's National Guard. This is what the founder of the nation left us, which we have systematically taken apart. And then his sister, after his death, showed us the way to democracy. So, with these words, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you all, and I would most of all like to thank the very distinguished speakers who opened our eyes to many of the things we were not aware of. Please give them a resounding applause, please. Now I get to my other duty.
YouTube पर Googly न्यूज देखने के लिए youtube.com की सर्च बार में Googly न्यूज टीवी टाइप करें। Googly न्यूज के पेज पर सुर्ख रंग के सब्सक्रिप्शन वाले बटन पर क्लिक करना ना भूलिए। YouTube पेज पर अपलोड होने वाली वीडियोस से बाखबर रहने के लिए बेल आइकन पर क्लिक कीजिए। आपको हर नई वीडियो के बारे में नोटिफिकेशन मौसूल हो जाएगा।